Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a quick tutorial explaining how to use the Gobaz Zakah website to calculate Zakat al-Mal. So when you get to the website, at the beginning you'll see the value of gold and silver, the price of gold and silver per gram. You can click refresh to get the latest price, but this website is not the gold and silver site, so it doesn't fetch for any changes within like few seconds. It just goes once or twice a day and then it locks the price. If you want to put the price manually because you know there's a significant change, for example, you can click enter price manually and then you can change the values. Okay, but in any case, this one just goes once or twice a day and gets the price and then locks it here. Now Zakah is paid after a year. So after a year of owning the zakatable amount of money, be it gold or silver, you pay the zakah on it. And the year's calculation is based on the Hijri calendar, and the Hijri calendar goes 10 or 11 days faster than the Georgian calendar. So that's why I added this part to calculate, to convert from Georgian to Hijri. So for example, you click, let's say you wanted to go to the year before, click up on top. Okay, let's say you want to go to 2025. That's when you had the money. And let's say your nisab, your money reached the nisab, which we'll talk about very soon. Let's say in the month of September. If you can't remember, then just do your best guess estimate. And if you don't even have any kind of guess estimate at all, and this is a frequent question people ask, then choose a month and then stick to it. So many people like to pay zakah in Ramadan because obviously it's easy to remember. Some people that like to pay in Muharram, so you choose a date. But initially, you need to know when that the nisab, the 2.8 ounce of gold, an equivalent money to buy 2.8 ounce of gold, which in today's market is like 11,590, something like that. When you have this amount of money, and then a year lapsed over, okay? You don't know for sure, you guess. So let's say you're pretty sure somewhere in September 11th, okay, or September 15, you had this money. Set, and then convert. So this is equivalent to the 22nd of Rabi'ul Awwal. It says month 3. So here also you have the month. Ramadan and Muharram is what most people focus, but in your case it is Rabi'ul Awwal. In this example here. So now let's do the calculation. There's nisab for silver and there's nisab for gold. So you could have silver coins. If you're a person who's buying silver to safekeep, then you calculate from here. Once you have 19.69 troy ounce of silver, if you have this much amount of silver, which is the equivalent of $1,181 in today's market, then that's when a year lapses and this was in your possession, you pay zakah on it. Or gold nisab. Gold is in today's market 11,591, which is enough money to buy 2.81 ounce of gold, or to be exact, troy ounce. Troy ounce and regular ounce, there's a little bit of difference. Also, there is the equivalence in gram for gold, 87.48. Now there's a paper money. Paper money goes with the gold also. And some of the ulama, the majority say gold, but some of the ulama, like some of the Hanafis, they say you calculate with what is most beneficial for the poor, which would be silver. The percentage is the same. You pay 2.5% either silver or gold. But if you calculate the paper money with the nisab of gold, you need to have 11,000, almost 600 to be obligated to pay zakah. You know, you have that much money and the year lapses. If you have 5,000, you are beneath the nisab. But if you want to calculate with the silver, you are actually within the range of the nisab. So you choose which one you want to go with, okay? But the majority of the ulama, they go with the gold. Cash. Now, some of the ulama in the past, they actually say there is no zakah on cash money. This is not the standard nowadays. If you go different Darul Ifta, they also you pay zakah on cash. But some actually did say in the past, you don't pay money on cash because cash is not gold. But now they're saying, or the standard is that you do pay zakah. The reason being is because there has been meetings between the ulama and people who are financial experts. I remember one of the mashayikh, the Mauritanian mashayikh, told me once that his sheikh, one of the biggest scholars from Mauritania, used to say there's no zakah on paper money. But after his sheikh died, there was a lot of big meetings between people who are expert in finance and ulama. And the expert, they explained to the ulama about the history of this monetary or fiat system. And then when they realized that this paper money was actually a receipt and the gold is in the bank, then, after hearing the whole thing, they actually agreed that you do pay zakah on this. Nobody's using gold, or most people do not use gold for transaction nowadays. There's the paper money. In your paper money, you can look to the history of paper money, but just a quick summary. Paper money used to be a receipt. So a long time ago, people used gold and silver. And then in places like China, people started building banks. And the Chinese began the system way before the Europeans, where they would take that money and they keep it for you, and then they give you like a receipt. And then this system went to other countries and went to Europe. They started building banks, and then they started using the same system. And then the bank will give you a receipt guaranteeing that the gold is in the bank. Eventually, people started using those receipts to transact for transactions. So instead of going to the bank, grabbing, 30 coins of gold, to pay for a merchandise, they would use one of those receipts and give it to that person, and that person would collect the money from the bank. So from big contract, it became smaller and smaller, and then it became paper money. And then back during World War I or II, I can't remember now, I'm a bit confused, but definitely the American paper money, the $20 bill for the US, used to have a promissory that says you can go to the bank and collect your gold coin. So literally, you can take the $20 US, and $20 had more worth back then than today. It had, it had more power, and you can go to the bank and they will give you, actual gold coins when you give them the $20. Of course, this doesn't happen anymore, but this is how the story began. The money was put in the bank, the gold was put in the bank, and your paper money was basically the receipt. So that's why you have, now this kind of gives you somewhat of an understanding of these things between ulama and what happened. So the standard is to be gold, and that's why the majority say is gold. So let's say you have cash money in the bank, $5,000. And let's say you have gold. Okay, now gold, let's say it could be gold coins. So if you have one gold coin, of course these come in a troy ounce. Now your asset, the 5,000 plus the 1 ounce of gold is $9,000. Okay, if you go to gram is like way less. So, but the gram benefits females who have a lot of jewelry. And there's two sayings. The Shafi'is say women do not pay zakah on the jewelry that they wear. The Hanafis say that woman is supposed to pay zakah. And if she wants to go the saying of Imam Abu Hanifa, which both of them go back to the Sahaba. Some of the Sahabas during the time of the Sahaba. Some used to say you pay zakah, and some used to say no, you don't pay zakah on the jewelry worn by women. If she wants to pay zakah on those jewelry, she needs to get the amount of pure gold in it, because it's not all pure gold. So she needs to go to a gold expert, someone who is in the jewelry business, to tell her how much pure gold these jewelries have. Okay, or she can take the saying of Imam Shafi'i. Now, of course, this is for a woman, not for a male. If a male has a lot of gold, men are not supposed to wear gold. But if a man happens to have a lot of jewelry, he still pays zakah on it. Or he may have gold coins, like which is common, and see, like it jumps significantly. So let's erase this for now. Let's say there's no gold coins and there's no silver coins or silver jewelry. Business inventory. So if you have a business, you're selling and buying, then you can add the total inventory in this section here. Money owed to you. Someone owes you money and you are certain that person is going to pay you back, let's say $3,000. Okay. So if you look here, so we have 5,000 and 3,000 is 8,000 now. But let's say, what if that person is not going to pay you back your money? Or what if this is like very doubtful? Then you don't have to put it here. Let's say you have stock investment. And by the way, if you look here on the bottom, there's no do zakah because the total is 8,000 and the nisab of gold is 11,591 in this example here. Let's say you have money in the stocks. You can add it here, your money and investments. So let's say your stock is worth 10,000, for example. Now if you look at the bottom here, the zakah due is 450 for this whole amount. The 10,000, the 3,000, the 5,000, $18,000, 450 before deducting the liabilities, which we're going to get to. Okay. Retirement saving. Let's say you've been investing in 401k or IRA, or you have some sort of pension. Now, if the pension is not paid to you, then you wait until they start paying you your pension, because pension is like a promise that they're going to pay you this much amount of money. 401k and IRA, 401k, you have access to it. But people don't take out their 401k until they retire, but they can take it out before retirement. However, you're going to pay, I think, taxes, depending what kind of 401k you have. Is it pre-tax or, like not pre-taxed? And penalties if you take it out before your retirement. Technically, you can deduct those penalties that you're going to pay and then put them down on your deductible liabilities if you want. Okay. You can also start paying the zakah on these when you start to get your money. But there is an issue here. By the way, something I forgot. All of them, they have an explanation. If you click, you can read the explanation. So in this case, if you want to delay the payment until you start collecting the money, and in this case here you have, let's say you have 20,000 in your 401k. Okay, so there is zakah due on this money, and now your total zakah is 38,000. Like zakatable money is 38,000. So there is zakah due on the 20,000, but you're not paying it because you want to pay it later on. What happens now? This means you need to calculate this year how much is the percentage that you owe in the previous year, in the year after. So it's a piece of work. It's a piece of work. That's why for myself, I found it way more easier just to pay it from the get-go. Just add it here and pay it, so you don't have to worry in the future how much zakah you owe. Okay, so that's one way. And for the money owed to you, I give the explanation. You might hear some different explanation that goes back to the madhabs and different saying of the ulama, which is beyond the scope of this presentation. That's something you can go and ask the fuqaha and the ifta and the people that you trust. This is just a calculator, and inshallah it will help you out. Other zakatable assets. Now, if you notice, the world is changing, and we're using terminologies on this website that is easy to understand. Okay, but there are things that are disputable by the ulama. For example, here, what is other zakatable? Cryptocurrency, for example. Cryptocurrency, in your crypto account, for example, you can transfer it today to your bank account, so it becomes it's an actual money. And this is a gray area, and my advice is to stay away from cryptocurrency, and because one of the ulama, they say is not permissible. Okay, but let's say one of these cryptocurrencies became an actual means of transacting, buying and selling. It's a digitized currency. In fact, the dollar that you have, the paper money, it's all, I mean, it's pretty much digitized. When the government print paper money, they don't print, they print portion of it, but the majority is all digitized. You do not carry a lot of thousands in your pocket, or you don't store a lot of money in your home. So it's all digitized. So even paper money is digitized, but it has become an acceptable means of transaction. So for the cryptocurrency, my advice is to stay away from it. But if you do have cryptocurrency, Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, and then put it here, so to be on the safe side. So let's say you have 5,000 cryptocurrency, okay? Even though I would advise to stay away from it, let's say you have this much amount of money. Okay, now let's deduct the liabilities. Okay, let's say you have a car you owe money for, $30,000. You're not gonna put $30,000. You're just gonna put the amount of payment for this month, like within a month. So let's say you have let's say you have $300 car payment, and you have a student loan, and your payment, let's say, is another $300. And let's say you took money from Abdul Hamid, and you took from him $30,000 to start a business, and you're paying him every month $500, for example. So now we have 300, 600, 500, we have 1,000, 100 due this month. Upcoming living expense, for example, it could be your rent. Let's say you're gonna pay $2,500 for rent. So in this example here, you have a total asset worth $43,000, total liabilities $3,600, net zakatable wealth $39,400, nisab of gold is $11,591. So that's the nisab, that's the minimum amount of money you need to have, as mentioned earlier, under your ownership for a year, and you are way beyond that amount. You are 39,000. So the zakat due is 985. Okay, so you can play with these numbers. You can, like brainstorm if you have any other payments. Let's say there's another payment that you do every month. You have a lot of expense. You have your phone bill. Let's say you have your phone bill. Let's say $100, and let's say you have some other bill that you need to pay. So you can add them all up. Let's say your bill for the month, your gas bill, your electrical bill, and everything else became $2,000, and then another $2,500 for your rent. And now that is how much zakah is due on you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.